Well, good evening, comadres. Welcome to the kitchen series. This is episode number 3, and we are featuring Chef Darlene Tenes. She's from San Jose, California, and she's been with Las Comadres about 20 years, and she has her own company, lifestyle company. It's called Casa Q, and she works with the farm worker caravan, and she's also a caregiver for her mother. So she's extremely busy, and we really appreciate your time tonight. Thank you, Darlene. Do you want to add a little bit about yourself or anything else? Tell us why you chose Apple Cranberry Capirotada.
So I did grow up eating capirotada, and traditionally capirotada is made with peanuts and raisins. However, I don't like raisins. So I feel it's my capirotada. I could put whatever I want in it. So that's how I started making other styles of capirotada. This is one, which is the apple cranberry capirotada. I actually made this one for Christmas originally. Um, However, capirotada is more traditional for the Lenten season. That's normally when it's eaten because it doesn't have any meat in it, yet it's very filling because of all the bread and the nuts and the dried fruits that are in it. So it's very filling. So a lot of people eat this on Fridays during Lent. And so that's why it's very popular during this period of time.
And Lent starts February 18th this year, right?
Correct.
I believe so. Okay. So, do you want to get started and tell us how to make this?
Sure. It's actually pretty easy to make. I'll talk about a couple of the ingredients. So I'm going to grab my pot over here. So first, you're going to make something, and I didn't take everything out of the thing, so you're going to see me opening packages and stuff because I kind of ran home and I got home late from across town and stuck in traffic and everything. So I pulled everything out, but I didn't like make it all nice and neat. So we're going to put a half a cup of butter, and I'm putting it in a pot. Okay. So I'm just going to put all this in a pot because we're going to melt all this together. So you're going to put half a cup of butter. You can put piloncillo. Today, I do not have pilon. Well, I probably do somewhere, but I'm going to use brown sugar. But so you can use piloncillo, you can use brown sugar. Again, I'm going to stress this again and again. You can put whatever you want in it. If you like molasses, if you like maple syrup, if you like honey, whatever sweetener that you want to use, you can use a sweetener. And that's how cooks do things, okay? That's how they do things. They don't necessarily follow recipes exactly. What they do is they get the concept of it and then they put what the ingredients that they personally like and they put it in there. So you know that you need a sweetener in here, right? So we're I'm going to use brown sugar today. I personally just prefer using brown sugar, even though piloncillo is more traditional, just because it's easier to melt and it melts more evenly than piloncillo, and it's a lot quicker too than using
Uh,
piloncillo.
Can
So
I can I ask real quick? I've never heard of piloncillo. What is it? Is it
oh, piloncillo is like a raw sugar that you get. Here, let me see if I have it. If I have a piloncillo. I do. Here's a piloncillo because I cook. So I have things in my car. This
Oh,
is what piloncillo looks like. You might have seen these little cones in the grocery store. So it's basically it's very hard. It's really hard, and so it takes a little bit longer to melt and stuff like that. But this is what you normally use in bread pudding. You use it in like café de la olla when you have the coffee with the cinnamon and piloncillo. This is what's used in it. But a lot of places or a lot of different things they use brown sugar because just brown sugar is easier to use, and that's how come I'm using brown sugar. Even though I have piloncillo, I'm just going to use brown sugar. And then people will, oh, that's not traditional. You can't use that. You know what? Use whatever you want. Your food, your house. your rules, use what you want. And also don't ever let people shame you because people always want to shame you with cooking. Like there's a lot of people who were talking earlier that everybody doesn't cook and they get shamed about that. I only make things from scratch and I only do that. Oh, you did that or you did it. It's like I only do it. It's like, and how often do you do that? Let's get real. We're all working. It isn't, 100 years ago. These all of us women were working, we're busy now, we're working full time, we got kids, we got older parents that we're taking care of. So don't let people shame you about how you cook and eat and do things like that you know, just that
Thank you for
they can
saying that.
yeah, because people do that all the time. And I don't get it. Okay, so we had the butter in there and then the brown sugar. And then I'm going to put 3/4 of a cup of orange juice in here. And I use orange juice. Again, a lot of people just use water. Um, I'm somebody that likes flavor, so I'm putting orange juice. You could put apple juice. You could put water and put a little lemon squirt in there or lime squirt. Again, what do you like? Put it in there. And then I do like using cinnamon sticks though. So I'm going to put a couple cinnamon sticks and I usually use Mexican cinnamon sticks or cinnamon from many different countries, predominantly India and Mexico. And these are Mexican cinnamon sticks that you get. It's a lot cheaper to get Mexican cinnamon sticks too, by the way, than some other ones. I actually don't have orange extract today. So I'm going to put this on the stove and let it simmer a little bit. So I'm going to turn the heat up. And so while that's simmering, I'm going to do the cheese. And again, there's different cheeses. My friend's messaging me, but you can just, if you're here, like just say, you feel free to talk or pipe in or ask stuff. You know what I mean? This is a interactive thing here. So you can at any
Yes,
time
ma'am.
ask questions. So there's different cheeses that you can put in, and there's lots of different Mexican cheeses. I kind of got 3 different brands just so I wouldn't be loyal to one particular brand. Cotija is the cheese that people are most familiar with. This is a sharp, very salty cheese. So when you're using that, you're going to use less salt if you're using salt because it has a lot of salt to it. Today, I'm going to be using Oaxaca cheese. Oaxaca cheese is kind of like string cheese. This is a melting cheese. It even says it on the package, part skim milk cheese, melting cheese. Because there are cheeses that are melt and there's cheeses that are accent cheeses. Cotija is like an accent cheese, like Parmesan cheese or Romano or goat cheese. You don't use a lot of it, right? It's just for accent. It's an accent of flavor. So it's an accent cheese. Oaxaca, again, is a melting cheese. Queso fresco, I love. I use queso fresco a lot. And a lot of times I use this in place of cotija. So when I'm making huevos rancheros, things like that, I sprinkle queso fresco or cotija, but I a lot of times use queso fresco. Queso fresco is fresco. It's a fresh cheese, okay? So you're probably seeing it backwards, my guess. It's backwards to me, but that is queso fresco. And fresh cheeses are used a lot for desserts. This is a dessert that has cheese, okay? So you could use queso fresco, like tiramisu. Tiramisu is not cream, that's a cheese that they use in tiramisu. It's cheese, like cheesecake. They use cheese, right? So there's lots of cheeses that are dessert cheeses. Queso fresco you can eat as a dessert cheese. You can just get this cheese, plop it down, put some honey on it, some nuts, and you can eat it like that. Okay. Um, there's Monterey Jack is a Mexican cheese, but it's very standard in the Southwest, anyways. So Monterey Jack is a melting cheese. So this would be good to use today too. But I'm going to use the Oaxaca cheese and I'm going to use a little bit of queso fresco. And you can mix your cheeses. And again, you can, buy grated cheese. This is like a Mexican blend grated cheese. You don't want to cut up the cheese, you want to buy grated cheese. You're good. Again, your food, your way, right? So
I like the way you think.
yeah, it's just like eat what you want to eat. It's your house, you know? Um, so I'm gonna open this package up real quick. I always have scissors in the kitchen, so you should have kitchen scissors in your kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what this cheese looks like. Let me see if I can crack this open here. Maybe not. Um, but it's a big ball. This one's kind of hard to get apart. But it's actually like string cheese. So see, it's just like string cheese, the kind that you give kids in a little packages. So it's like that. See how it's stringy? That's why it's called string cheese because it's stringy.
Do you
But it
leave it out to soften any?
you can. I mean, we're gonna melt it anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Okay.
So depending again on how you want your capirotada, usually you cube the cheese, and I'm going to cube the cheese today. The other thing, I was talking to somebody today in my meeting that I was at earlier, and she was talking about how, oh, both of them, both the girl and the guy in the meeting, they were saying how in fact, she might be here because she said she was going to pop in. She said it was funny because she didn't know I was a comadre, and we were meeting this afternoon, and she saw my name on the thing to do this lesson.
Darlene, I'm
Um,
here. Lourdes.
Yay, there you are. So we
Nice.
so we were talking today. We're talking about capriotada, and I forgot now what I was talking about. Oh, about how like people make it differently and traditionally and all that kind of stuff. But I'm just have bad habit here. I just always eat this stuff. So I am cubing. I'm cubing my cheese. I just cubed it real quick. Now again, you can use grated cheese if you want. It's more traditional to cube it. I cube it. So, oh, I know what we were talking about. I can't remember if it was you or Edgar, but they were saying how their grandma used to make a bunch of capirotada. Like I think it was Edgar. He goes, you used to make so much capirotada. You don't have to make a lot of capirotada. You can make whatever amount you want. I'm going to use this pot. This is my ceramic pot. I use this to do all my meats in and everything. I cook a lot. However, I have no fancy stuff in my kitchen. Believe it or not, I don't even have a crock pot. Okay. I don't have
Wow.
any air fryers, nothing. I tried making meat one time in a crock pot on the stove, in a ceramic pot, in an air fryer. I tried every method like the same day because we were doing some experiment. I love my ceramic pot. It just there's something about it that holds all the juices in and blends the flavors that you don't get in those other devices. It's not the same. It doesn't taste the same.
And
It's quicker, yeah.
how long
Huh?
have you had that pot? Do they last
A long
forever?
time. A long time, probably at least, oh, actually, let's see. Probably about 20, 30 years I've had this pot.
Nice. I
Yeah,
think I need one then.
it has a lid. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, no, I just put my meat in there, throw it in the oven 3 or 4 hours and you take it out. It's not that complicated, you know. People overcomplicate some stuff sometimes. I have my cousin, he was constantly saying, well, you know how to cook, and that's why I need all these gadgets. I'm like, I don't even know how to use all those gadgets. Just throw the onion, garlic. I use orange juice in my pork too. I like orange juice. I throw everything in there, put the lid on, throw it on slow cook in the oven. It's done in 4 hours. I'm over it. You know what I mean?
So we've got a couple of one comment and one question. So a couple of people said that pot looks brand new, and it does. That's why I asked how long you've had it. And where do you buy those?
This was actually a gift, and I think she got it at one of those kind of Sur La Table type of places. You know what I mean? Because it was a gift. I know she shops there, so that's where I'm guessing she got it, but I don't know. But if you go to, you can get them at the Mexican stores and stuff. They have other ones. This is actually an Italian one. It's not Mexican.
Okay.
But it's the same thing. They're ceramic glazed pots. I just really love the ceramic pot. I like cooking in them. So I just got an apple. I don't know if you can see it. I got an apple, and then I have this little device, as you guys saw, that looks a little phallic there. Um, and you just put it in there and squish it down, and then it makes all the little slices, right? And then so what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to cut it up even more, so it's kind of cubes. So I'm going
Do
to
you
cut it
leave
up.
this, do you leave the skin on? And is there a preference in apples?
I bought Golden Delicious because that's an apple that is good for cooking. If you look at, and there's other apples you can use, but Golden Delicious is usually like the apples you use for apple pies, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you look at the grocery store, the little sign says it on the sign. It'll say, this apple is good for snacks. This apple is good for baking. So it actually says it on the sign at the store. So if you forget, or you can always Google it too. Because
Okay.
I Googled, and I'll talk about the dates for a second, because I'm going to put dates in here instead of dried cranberries, actually. I thought I had dried cranberries, but I don't.
So I
So
have a question.
Mhm.
In the cheeses, what are you putting? About a cup of cubed cheese?
Oh, yeah. So the recipe is in the cookbook. If you guys have the recipe, about half a pound. So like this little package is a pound. So like half of this.
Okay.
Again, if you love cheese, put more cheese in there. If you hate cheese, put less. You know what I mean?
Sandra, the recipe's on page 128 of the book.
I don't have the book.
Oh,
So
okay.
there's a lot of Latinos too are lactose intolerant. Um, and that is because of their indigenous blood. Usually people that have more indigenous blood or come from countries that did not have cows. Okay, let's put it to you that way. So Mexico did not have cows and pigs and all that prior to the Spaniards coming. So if you have stronger indigenous roots, you're more likely to be lactose intolerant. And then there's other countries that don't really use cow milk, like China, of course, India, and Africa. And so they're more likely to be lactose intolerant as well because their bodies were not accustomed to eating the milk and all that.
That is so informative. Thank you, because I am indigenous, and I did not know that that was a trait.
Yeah, it just is. And then after a while, people, if they grew up with it, they get accustomed to it. But it is just part of our bodies. It's not natural for it. I love milk and cheese. At any given time, I have like about 8 or 10 different cheeses in my refrigerator. But I love cheese. I use cheese for all kinds of stuff. And I think my friend Alicia is on the line, and she always tells me not to be eating so much cheese and milk. She's all, milk is for cows. It's not for people. She always says that. I heard you laugh, Alicia.
I'm here. Finally got
I
on. Good
heard
to
you
see
laugh.
you, everybody.
So, so I cut up the apples and stuff. And again, you don't have to use apples. I make a pear capirotada, and I love pears in a capirotada. It just has such a nice, smooth taste to it. I don't know. I mean, if you guys have eaten baked pears before, and they're so good, right? So pears are really good in here. Today I'm using apples, but you can again use another fruit too. You can use bananas. You know how you make banana pudding? You've seen banana pudding and thing. You can put bananas in there too, or whatever. But we're gonna do apples today. That's what I'm doing today. And then in the recipe, I have dried cranberries. However, I'm not going to use dried cranberries. I am going to use, and I'm going off camera here to get a bowl. I'm going to use dates, and I love dates. Love using dates because I told you earlier I'm not a big raisin fan. However, with dates, you do have to cut them up, and they're very sticky, if you know dates are. So there's a couple different kinds of dates, and I'm blanking. Somebody might want to jump in because I can't remember. What is the name of the other date? There's usually two dates that you see at the grocery store. One is Medjool, right? Medjool. And then there's another. Does somebody know what the other date is? Go on to Google right now and put Medjool verse, and it'll come up. And I'm just blanking on it. But the other dates are actually better for baking with. However, I buy Medjool because I do make a appetizer. Here, let me show you the date. So this is a date, and this is the date, and I'm gonna cut it open for you. I usually get the dates with the nut in it. So there's the nut in there. They have pitted dates, but I get the ones that aren't pitted just because it does tend to keep the date a little bit moister when it has a pit kept in there. So I do it's so easy. Like you saw, I just cut it open and you take it out. So this is the date. So I just cut it open, took the pit out, right? But the reason why I bought Medjool dates, even though the other dates are a little bit better for baking, is because I make appetizers with these a lot. And I put goat cheese inside and I wrap it with bacon. And they're like great appetizers. Okay. So these are better for appetizers because they're big. And so since I'm going to use them again, I bought the Medjool ones. But there is another type of date. Did anybody look that up? What kind of date it is?
Yes.
What is it?
Deglet dates.
Yes, that's it.
Deglet.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So those are good dates too. They're a little sweeter, I think. But again, I'm using mine for two purposes because I'm going to make these for Super Bowl. Make these dates stuffed with goat cheese and wrapped in bacon. You should try it. It's really good. Very easy to do. So I'm just cutting up a few again, taking out the nut, and then I'm just slicing them up. Just chopping them up a little bit. So they are. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. You're going to use half a cup of the fruit?
Yeah, I'm going to use about half a cup. Yeah. Again, it depends on what you're using. And so when you're doing it, and this is the big thing with cooks, people that know how to cook, and how come you're always going, well, how can they do it without looking and stuff? Because what we're doing is we're tasting along the way. Okay. We're tasting the apple piece and we're going to taste it. How sweet is the apple? Is it a sweet apple? Is it a dull apple? Okay. How sweet is the stick? Because these are all natural ingredients. Are they in season or are they out of season? How long have they been sitting on the shelf, right? So you need to taste the ingredient. This is a little thing. I taste a little bit of it. And that's a nice, that's a very tasty date right there. Those dates are perfect. But your ingredients are always going to be different, particularly fruits and vegetables. You got to taste it. When you're making sauces, when you're making this, like you might have dead, like strawberry shortcake. When I'm making strawberry shortcake, particularly strawberries, sometimes strawberries are terrible, especially when they're out of season or they pick them too soon. You might have to add a little sugar. I personally add a touch of brown sugar and a little bit of lime juice, okay, to brighten up my strawberry flavor. So, but you need to taste your ingredients. And you should never serve anything to anybody without tasting it first. I'm always shocked when people don't taste their food. I don't know why you wouldn't taste your food before you serve people.
Oh, we have a question on the chat. Do you fry or bake the dates in the bacon?
You put them in the oven and you put it like on a high temperature, not broil, but you want to put it like, I put it like 400 or something. There's a trick to doing that too. So when I do like the bacon wrap jalapenos or the bacon wrap dates or, I like wrapping bacon apparently. sometimes I pre-cook the bacon a little bit, just so you know when you cook the bacon, it's still white, but it's like floppy. I pre-cook it a little bit, so then when I put it in the oven, it's going to cook better and you're not cooking the other side so much. My sauce is all bubbly now, if you can see this. So it's all bubbly, and I did not stir it, but it looks actually like it. I had it on kind of a low temperature so it wouldn't burn. So I'm just going to stir it up a little bit. And that's ready to go. I'm just going to set it aside for a second. But that's the sauce that we're going to put on the capirotada. Again, it's going to, like every single ingredient you put and stuff, just taste it, look at it, feel it. What's it like? If you have super dry old bread, you're probably going to have to put more liquid in there. If your bread, my bread's not super dry because I bought it yesterday. So actually capirotada is sometimes better with old bread because it's a little bit harder and then it softens up. So, and some people even toast their bread before. I'm not going to toast my bread today, but some people do toast their bread in the oven before. I'm not going to do that.
What does that do to it? What makes it different?
If you don't have hard bread or you toast it, toasted bread tastes different than non-toasted bread, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, with all the chilies that you use in Mexican cooking. It's the same chili as like a chipotle chili is a smoked, dried jalapeno, okay? And a poblano, like these chilies that you cook with to make the moldes with and all that. Those were all fresh chilies at some point, but they taste very different once they're dried. It's like a grape and a raisin. The chili's the same thing. The chilies are fresh and then they dry and they taste so grape does not taste the same as a raisin, right? And that's all the same thing with all the chilies that you're using. We're not using chili today. You could put chili in this too if you want, if you like, because there's a lot of the sweet hot honeys. There's a lot of hot honeys now. Let me grab my hot honey. This one's like a local, because I only buy local honey. This has like heat to it. And what did I make with this the other day? I forgot what I made with it. I think I did chicken wings or something with it. But pretty hot though. Okay.
So the honey would be in substitution of the brown sugar or piloncillo?
Yes. You can
Okay.
make some too. I like putting I like maple flavor. So like even when I'm cooking, so like when you go down the barbecue aisle, you're gonna see a bunch of, right now I'm just slicing bread slices right now. So I'm just slicing bread slices, okay?
Okay.
With the bread. So this, you can get the bolillos. You could get the baguette, the sourdough baguette, or this is like French bread that I'm using. And I'm just using French bread because it's a little bit milder. And, the reason why we have all the bread, because it is bread, it's not tortillas that we're using, right? In this. But in certain areas of Mexico, they eat bread. They don't eat tortillas as much, particularly the areas like Puebla and all those areas where all the French were, because remember Cinco de Mayo and all the French? So the French came and they started making all the bread. So this is probably stems from a French recipe, is my guess. I haven't looked up the history of capirotada, so I don't know. But I'm going to guess. Because all the pan dulce that we eat, if you look at it, a lot of the shapes are similar to French pastries because the French are the ones that started baking bread and they brought that to Mexico. So that's why all the pan dulces, the pan dulce stem from French people. Was that news to people? Because everybody got quiet.
Yes, it is. I love pan dulce. I try to be,
all of our foods evolved, right?
yeah.
That's why I'm saying with like when people like criticize me because I don't do peanuts or raisins or whatever. All foods evolve and everything's always changing all the time. I used to do this tamale contest and we would get tamales from all over and people particularly so I would have judges and I'm in California, some of you Southwest people, we have predominantly Mexicans over here as opposed to some other areas of our country, right? And having a Mexican judge was the worst because they wanted the tamales to be like their mama's tamales, right? And there's tamales from all over the place. Salvadorians, Guatemalans, there's Texas tamales, right? And there's the black folk that make tamales in the South, and there's other people that make tamales, okay? So they were like, this isn't a tamale. That's not how my mama made it. This ain't your mama's tamales, okay? Somebody else's mama's tamales, you know? And then they would say like, oh, I only like traditional tamales. I only like pork and chicken tamales. I'm like, okay, traditional tamales were probably like guinea pig and snake and iguana or something. Because again, tamales are thousands of years old. Okay, thousands. And the Spaniards came over here, whatever, 500-600 years ago. So for 1,500 years at least, they were not making tamales with chicken and pork. Okay. That was it. And somebody got the bright idea to put chicken and pork in the tamales. And back then they were probably saying, oh, that's terrible. That's not how you make tamales, right? So things change and it's okay. Okay. It's okay that you do things a little bit differently and you experience different ingredients from other cultures and you incorporate it in. And that's okay. Because that's again, our pan dulce, our breads that we use, those came from other cultures, the tuba and all that. And our music that came from Germany. The beer came from Germany, came from Egypt at some point. Everything gets evolved and people share their cultural things. I can't read the chat, but I saw that somebody put something in the chat.
Yeah, so Monica gave us the explanation of capirotada is a traditional Mexican bread pudding which origins in the 15th century Spain, evolving from a savory medieval Moorish influenced bread and meat dish in a sweet Lenten dessert. Brought to Mexico during the Spanish conquest, it became symbolic of the Passion of Christ, representing the crucifixion, and is widely consumed during Lent.
Mm-hmm.
Good to know.
Yeah, and like and so with a lot of the influence we get from Moorish foods, like even putting cinnamons in a lot of our food because they put cinnamon in their meats and things like that. And so I like their food. It's good. So I'm going to start doing layers. Actually, I am going to chop. So the other thing that I'm going to put in here is pecans because I love the taste of pecans. And you Texas people, because California has pretty much everything here. We feed the nation because we have all the fruits, vegetables, everything. 50% of everything comes from California. Okay. However, Texas has got great pecans. You guys got the best pecans there are, I gotta say. So once a year, my friend from Texas brings me pecans, which I'm very happy about. Otherwise, I buy them at Costco when I run out because I do like doing candy pecans. I have pecans all the time because I like putting candy pecans in my salads, again with pears or orange or whatever. A little goat cheese and all that. That's why I always have accent cheeses for everything. So I'm just chopping up the pecans a little bit. I don't want to chop them up too much. But again, if you like them super chopped, super chop them. I was during the pandemic, in the very beginning of the pandemic, we have this neighborhood Facebook page. It has like 20,000 people on it, okay? And that I started and I was going, oh, why don't we have our neighbors? Because we have we're very mixed neighborhood. We got a little bit of everything over here. Portuguese, Italian, Indian, Vietnamese, Mexican, Puerto Rican, you name it, we got everything in our neighborhood. Okay. So I was like, oh, let's do cooking lessons like this online. So then everybody did different cooking lessons. We had a Jewish person teach us how to make some Jewish stuff, and then an Italian person teach us how to make meatballs, and everybody was teaching different things. And I did lemon meringue pie, not Mexican, because somebody else did pozole already. I'm like, I'm just gonna do lemon meringue pie. So, which I think is in the cookbook too. That's on one of the pages.
Yes.
So it's a lemon meringue pie, which is
Page 141.
yeah. And that's a really good recipe. I learned from my next door neighbor when I was a little child. My neighbor across the street from us, she was from the Midwest and used to bake all these her pies from scratch and everything. And so she taught me how to make lemon meringue pie. However, I buy Marie Callender crust because I don't want to do all that. Okay, so again, so you're going to layer your bread pieces like this. You're going to layer it. You're going to put a little bit of nuts. You're going to put a little bit of cheese. And you're going to do it like you would do a lasagna or something, right? And so you have the different layers of stuff. What do I put in here? The apples, the cheese, the nuts, it's all in there. So you're going to layer that. You can put a little bit of this mixture in there. Take the sticks out. Ooh. This is my capirotada, so I licked my finger. You should never do that. However, we're going to eat it, so. My friend, by the way, one of my friends that's online is a health inspector, so I'm like,
Oh no.
probably like dying to me, licking my finger. So you're just gonna layer it, put the stuff in there, put a little thing, and you're gonna layer it again. So I'm just gonna keep layering it right now. Let me see if I can. I don't know if I can put this down a little bit.
There we go.
Yeah. So you're just gonna layer it, put the layers of the bread. And again, with this thing, you don't have, because I know some people make the big old pan of it. No. So they make the big old pan of it or whatever. I'm not going to make a big old pan because I don't want capirotada for like 50 days, right? So, or for our 40 days of Lent. I'm just going to eat it like this week. Oh,
We have a question, Darlene. Does it have to be can we do a square pan or does it have to be round?
it can be
Anything, right?
whatever color you want. So this recipe capirotada, although it's a bread pudding, it sounds like you're baking. It's actually cooking, okay? So baking is a science, and baking, you need to do things very precisely when you're doing flour and sugars and baking powders or yeast or whatever you're doing. That is a science, so it's very different. This is actually cooking. So this is why I'm saying if you want to put more or less cheese in, it's okay. You want to put more or less nuts in, it's okay because it's not going to make a difference. You know what I mean? It's still going to come out. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
So we had one person comment that her mom made hers in a stock pot on the stove,
Mhm.
and then can you repeat the layers again?
That's what I'm doing. I'm just continuing to repeat the layers.
But the layers are the bread, the pecans, and the fruit, right? And cheese.
Yes, bread. It's bread, pecans, and then I have the cube cheese, remember? And I have the dates.
Okay.
So you're just putting all those layers in there again. So you just keep layering it. And
Thank you.
you're running out of bread. So this is the end of my bread. So now I'm just gonna throw the rest of everything in here.
We've got somebody said they don't like dates, but what can they substitute with? And most people use raisins, correct?
Raisins, I've used dry cranberries, I've used oh, I love dates. I've used apricots, dried apricots.
And the
Love dried
plums.
apricots. Yeah, any dried fruit that you want. Whatever dried fruit you like, that's what you can use.
Okay.
So this is it. It's all layered up. It's all in there, right? And then you just got to finish putting the layers in there. I am actually going to, I can tell that this is not enough sauce for what I'm going to do. So I can just tell because I want it to be really moist. Now, when you put it in the oven, it'll steam in the pot because you have the lid on. So it will moisten it a little bit more. However, I just want it to add a little bit more. So I am going to add a little bit more butter and orange juice. My butter. Again, traditionally, it's made with it's just water that they cook with the piloncillo and I'm making it a little bit richer. Actually, what I want to do is I made an English pudding. I made English bread pudding the other day, and that was like with custard filling. Oh my gosh, it was so good. And so I kind of want to combine. See, this is where I'm just cooking because I'm just throwing stuff in. I'm not measuring anymore. I just feel like I want to put that in
I have
there.
a
Go
I have
ahead.
another question. So after you layer each layer, do you pour more of the melted butter mix of the sauce or just at the first one?
No, you pour it all in. I'm going to pour it all in right now. You're going to drizzle it all on top.
But do you add some with every layer or just at the end?
You can, or you could just do it at the end because it's all going to soak through anyways. It's bread,
Okay.
so it's going to soak through.
Okay.
I'm just putting a little bit more, but basically, so this is basically it. It's really easy. And again, I didn't make a finished version, but I'm going to put this in the thing, but it'll toast up a little bit, and then it'll just get all moist and full of the flavor. And again, when you have to put it in a pot with a lid because it's gonna bring the moisture into it.
Can
You're
you
even
use
gonna
a Dutch oven?
you can use a crock pot, you can use a pot on the stove, like that lady said. I do mine in the oven, but you need to just cook this and warm it up, basically. And you know what? There's nothing in here. Again, there's nothing in here that's gonna kill you, okay? Because it's not a meat product. Everything that's in here you can eat raw. So really what you're doing when you have to be really careful with cooking is when you have raw ingredients in there that you cannot eat raw with the danger, right? There is nothing in here that you cannot eat straight out of this bowl as it is. However, it's just going to taste better when you put all the butter and the cinnamon and the brown sugar on it.
We had somebody ask, they're pre-diabetic. What else can they moisten it with?
You just shouldn't eat capirotada. That's what I
Sorry.
I know. I mean, this is not a diabetic recipe. I got to tell you. You can use your sugars, the sugar that, because my dad was diabetic, so I used to use. Let me see if I have that sugar here. I don't think I have it anymore. But I used to use. There's a diabetic baking sugar, or there's a sugar.
Splenda?
It wasn't Splenda. It was another brand. Does
Okay.
somebody want to pipe in that uses diabetic sugar? Because there's another brand that's like really good.
Stevia.
Stevia.
It's like a stevia, yeah. So see, I just poured the sauce and stuff on top of there, and then I'm just gonna put the top on, and we're gonna cook it in the oven. So I didn't even put the oven on.
They asked if you have ever used monk fruit as a sweetener.
I have, yeah. I mean, that's where, like, again, I and actually what would be good in here, and I think I'm gonna put it in here, is a little bit of lime juice. And I don't have any fresh limes. I have fresh. You know what? You're let me use a lemon juice. Yeah. So what I do, I have very nice neighbors that bring me fresh lemons all the time, and so I squeeze all my lemons and I buy a little jar like this from the Dollar Tree, and I keep it in the refrigerator. And I make
Wow.
I make iced tea and I put the lemon in there but lemon, a lot of times when you're making apple pie too, you add a little bit of lemon into it. So I'm gonna add a little bit of lemon in here if I could
Oh,
open it.
we have a question that if the recipe changes if you use skimmed cheese, is that not a meltable cheese? How would that be
No,
affected?
this is a skim cheese. Where is it? The one that I use is a skim cheese.
Okay.
That Oaxaca cheese that I use is a skim cheese. So I'm going to show you guys this little thing that I'm going to use because I had carpal tunnel surgery. I think there's a little scar there too. I bought this little gadget. It's like the best thing ever, okay? Because I can't open the jar. And you just like put it on the jar. Oh, I don't know if it's going to work on this jar though, because it's a weird jar. But you put it on a jar and hit the button, and then it like opens it up. It might not work on this jar though, because this is a weird jar. Well, let's see. Hopefully it does. Yes, it did. See? So then
No.
it opens up and that's it. Because I have a hard time opening stuff right now. It usually stops, but it's not. So it's sometimes when you're jar. So I'm just gonna throw a little bit of lemon juice in here just for flavor. I'm gonna put this in the other room since it's making a lot of noise now. It usually stops, and for some reason it's not stopping. Is there any other questions that they have? I'm just gonna
Um,
put this in the oven.
we had somebody say that they make their tea or liquid with water, cinnamon sticks, cloves, and piosil, and then they
Their
add the rate.
their
That's how they make their liquid.
their iced tea.
Or no, the tea for the sauce that you made. That's how they make theirs.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I was thinking because when you make like Jamaica, well, you had somebody make aguas frescas. I wasn't able to stay for her whole thing. Well, when I make Jamaica, I put brown sugar in there too. I put brown sugar, cane sugar, cinnamon sticks, and lime juice in my Jamaica. And every little ingredient gives a little bit different twist of flavor. Jamaica is really easy to make and it's so good during the summer to really make Jamaica.
So, question is, how long do we leave it in the oven or on the stove?
Just you can just leave it until it's all mixed up and warm and ready to eat. You can just look at it. I put it in there for 20 minutes right now, but I
Okay.
also did have my oven preheated, so it's probably going to take longer because I turned it on and then threw it in there. So it's probably going to take longer than 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, 20, 30 minutes. What does it say on my recipe?
It said 15 minutes at 350, and then 5 minutes uncovered.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. It would normally take 15 minutes, but I didn't have my oven preheated. The 5 minutes, and I just do this when I'm even making potatoes or whatever. When you uncover it, because then it's going to dry out and crisp the outside of it, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
you're always doing that at the end when you're pan frying something or whatever. You're cooking it so it's moist because you want the it moist, but at the very end, if you want crispiness on the outside, whether you're cooking a piece of breast or the capirotada and you want that little crispy part on the outside, that's when you uncover it. But you don't want to keep it uncovered because then it dries out.
We have another question. Can they use an air fryer? And I know you said um, you could use different things earlier, but not your thing.
I have no idea. I don't use air fryers, so I am not the person to ask about air fryers. But I'm sure there is some recipe out there where they have made capirotada in an air fryer. So I'm sure there's something online.
So I'm very impressed on how versed you are in the different types of cheeses and the different types of just in general of the history of the cooking and stuff. Did you go to culinary school or is it just based on your experience?
It's just based on my experience. I did not go to any kind of school. I'm actually probably more of well, I like to cook And then I'm also a historian. And I do talks on cruise ships. That's one thing I guess I can add to my little bio there. I do talks on cruise ships, like cultural talks. And some of the talks I talk about is food and the origins of food and where we got things from. Like tomatoes came from the Americas and went to Italy. What would Italy do without tomatoes, right? Potatoes came from the Americas too. What would the Irish do without potatoes? And then we got stuff. We got pork, we got chicken, but that's all part of that trade that happened during a certain period of time when people started traveling. And then people started using each other's ingredients for stuff. Of course, that one of the greatest ingredients of all time is chocolate, which comes from Mexico. And what would the Swiss be without chocolate? The French, right? They're all known for their chocolates, but it comes from Mexico.
I heard you say that you take some classes and then you taught classes during COVID, or you taught your recipe during COVID. Is that something that you really enjoy doing? And I mean, we're enjoying seeing you make this, so I know I can enjoy it.
I enjoy sharing. I do entertain a lot and I do cook a lot for my friends and family. So I do enjoy cooking. Um, and I enjoy teaching because that's part of my historian part of me. I like teaching as well. So, what else? I was, I was telling her earlier at that meeting because we were talking about all this that I started doing Damien Trujillo, who is here at NBC Bay Area. He does a community show, and I was telling him, "Gosh, a lot of Latinos, they don't even know their own history, they don't know their own culture." He said, "Well, why don't you come on the show, or, you know, every like once a month and do like something?" So I started doing these cooking things on NBC and doing whatever. And then EHOW ex food expert people, the EHOW people, they were like called me up and said, "Oh, we need somebody to do some cooking videos and stuff. Could you do these cooking videos?" So I'm not used to doing like videos like this. They actually had camera people that would come. So I'm not very good at blogging and all that kind of stuff. Um, and so I did some cooking videos. And then like a year later, they were like, "Wait a minute, you're not a chef?" And I said, "I never said I was a chef. You called me." I was like, you know. So
That's
anyways, it's
cool.
funny. I know. So a lot of times people say I'm a chef or say that, but I'm not a chef. I'm not a trained chef. I just like cooking and enjoy food.
We have a question. Could you add chocolate to the recipe? And I'm
Oh,
thinking a drizzle of chocolate on top or icing.
you can use chocolate chips. So you can do chocolate chips. You can add coconut. There's some people that add coconut on there too. I forgot to mention that. But like bananas, you could, again, bananas with chocolate chips in there and nuts and stuff. Really good to make a capirotada. Again, what ingredients that you like, you can put it in there. That's why sometimes I have one of my friends ask me about recipes because it's hard for me sometimes to write down my recipes because recipe writing is an art, I have to say. You have to really give credit to people that do it all the time. Because a lot of times cooks, we're just throwing stuff in, right? And then it comes out good, and then you're like, whatever. And you never make the same thing twice, okay? However, when you're doing writing down recipes for people, you have to make it and you have to measure everything. Like right now, like what I did, I added a little bit more butter, I added a little bit more whatever I added, I don't even remember. But I would sit there and jot it down and jot it down. Half a teaspoon more cinnamon, half a cup more brown sugar. And so you're adding it on, adding it. Then you add everything up, you write out the recipe, and then you make the recipe from scratch exactly how you wrote it. Okay. And then you have to describe things to people too. Like you're saying, like people don't know what diced means, or they don't know what folding something in means. They don't know that. So you have to describe it. So you have to make the recipe again after the first time you're writing everything down. The second time, you have to make it by what you wrote down, and then it has to be adjusted again. So it's a lot of work writing a recipe if you're writing it properly, anyways. Um, and so that's why it's just a lot of work. But I do have some of my recipes written down now.
I like that when you started this presentation, you were talking about the cheese. Like you gave us a little bit of information on each of the cheeses and why you chose this one for this. I
Mhm.
That was really informative to me. So I appreciate that you did that because I wouldn't have known that. And it was great
Yeah, there's so
information.
many, and Mexico has a lot of cheeses. Normally in our grocery stores, we don't have all the cheeses that they have in Mexico because people aren't familiar with them. So in here, we normally have cotija, queso fresco, Monterey Jack, and that's about it. And then we have the cremas, right? So the cremas are another thing. So like this, when you serve it, you could put crema on it. Here, I'll grab a crema. I use crema. I never even buy sour cream because I much prefer crema. So this is a different crema from cocoa, it's called. I don't know if you can see it. There you go.
Yes, there we go.
But so there's different cremas. There's crema mexicana, crema Salvador. There's different cremas. Crema sin sal, con sal. So it's a salted cream, whatever. And this is very much like French. Again, the French had a lot of influence on Mexican cooking. So this is where you're getting the creams from and stuff. And this is very much like creme fraiche, which is used in French cooking. Okay. And so it's not sour like sour cream. And so you might see it because you've seen it probably when you go to restaurants, they drizzle this on top of enchiladas or even tamales sometimes. I got a tamale this morning, tamale preparada, and they put this on there and chili. I put this on top of the soup sometimes, and I make sopa de calabaza, like pumpkin soup. I'll put a little bit of crema on there. I use crema all the time. I don't use sour cream because I prefer crema. Um, but you could, like when you serve the capriotada, you could put a little crema on there, or you could serve it with ice cream, or whipped cream. If you make fresh whipped cream too, but you can buy the canned stuff if you want. Do not use Cool Whip.
Okay, so we have one question and one comment. So the comment says, it is said that the bread symbolizes the body of Christ and the syrup with which it is bathed his blood. Spices like cloves and cinnamon represent the nails and cross on which Jesus was crucified. And she stated that she did not know that. I did not know that either.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. And then somebody asked, what's the difference between crema and sour cream? And I think you touched on it a little bit, but if you can add a little
It's
bit
not
more.
sour. So sour cream is cream that has been soured. Okay. So that's going to have a sour taste. And this is crema. This is more crema fresca. So it's like a fresh cream, like creme fraiche. Fraiche means fresh in French. So that's a fresh cream. And it is more, you have to keep refrigerated. It has to be eaten like pretty soon, like fresh cheese. Like Monterey Jack is going to last you for a while, but when you're like queso fresco will start getting bad a lot quicker than like your Monterey Jack or your cheddar cheese because those are more medium cheeses. And then you have your hard cheeses like Parmesan. You know how you've seen those big Parmesan blocks and it's like really
Mhm.
hard to grate? Those are hard cheese. Hard cheeses, they don't have moisture in it, so they're gonna just last longer. Whenever you have moisture in it, it's more likely to get moldy quicker.
Question, is crema higher in fat?
That's a good question. I never checked because I never really cared. Um, let me look. It has 60 calories in 2 tablespoons, is what it is. Now that's
Okay.
this one. There's different types of crema too.
Uh,
I love
y'all
crema.
can, I'm sorry, y'all can visit Darlene's Casa Q website. The link is on the chat, so if you guys want to check that out and get more information, I would love to go to one of your parties and have all your dishes. Do you do a
Yeah,
lot of parties?
do. I made a really beautiful party for my mom's 90th birthday. She's now 93, but on her 90th birthday, I think I shared it when you guys with the little group of people that were cooking. that you were asking to do the presentations.
Mhm.
And I did a whole Mexican dinner with no beans, rice, or tortillas. Okay. And it was all Mexican food. So I had like a tuna tartare avocado tower. And I had I did a fruit with chamoy on it. I think it was 6 courses. And then I did a sopa de calabaza. So I did the pumpkin soup with the crema on top and then roasted pumpkin seeds. And I did, what else did I do? Oh, I did a prickly pear sorbet, which I served on a nopal paddle, which was pretty. And then for the grand finale, I did the chiles en nogada. And a lot of people have not seen it. So if you want to Google that while you're there, chiles, and then it's Enogada and nogada. And you don't see it very often in restaurants because it's a pain to make. It's a lot of work. You do see it in Mexico City during September in particular because it is the national dish of Mexico, actually, because it has a red, white, and green in it. So during the month of September, and that's also, so it's a stuffed poblano pepper with ground meats with chopped fruits again. So this stuff comes from the Morocco thing, the dried fruits and nuts. If you go to a Moroccan restaurant, a lot of their meats have the dried fruits and nuts mixed in it. So it also has the
Mhm.
dried fruits and nuts mixed in there. And then it has a walnut cream sauce. So speaking of vegetarians, a lot of vegetarians use they use nuts. And if you really make these nuts and whip them up, it's like a cream. Okay, so that's how they make vegetarian cream. And then it has pomegranates on it, pomegranate seeds. So pomegranate seeds are a seasonal fruit, just like every fruit is. So it's a beautiful dish. You guys should look up chiles en nogada. You guys are looking it up. Has
I
anybody, how
do
many
not.
people have eaten it? I can't see you guys, but
Go ahead and unmute yourself if you've eaten it and tell us about it. I saw Nora nod her head.
yeah, there's not that many.
I have
It,
had it, but I can't remember it. Um, it was a long time ago, and I was probably in Mexico.
yeah, it's if you go to Mexico City during September, all the good restaurants and Polanco and all
Mhm.
that area, they will have it on their menu.
Yeah.
But you don't see it very often because it is a very time-consuming dish to make. You have to the walnuts, these are not walnuts, but I'm just gonna show you if it's like a walnut, you have to soak these for 24 hours and then you have to peel the skin off of every single nut and
Oh
then make the
no.
cream sauce. Yeah, it's crazy. Crazy. Yeah.
Do you travel a lot and is that where you get your ideas or you just play around in the kitchen to get those ideas?
I do travel and I do try things. Like I went to Machu Picchu last year and let me see if this is ready. I went to Machu Picchu last year and me and my friend Alicia, me and Danielle, we were the only ones that would do it. We did try the guinea pig and the alpaca. And it was good, I have to say. Everybody was too afraid to try it. But
Um, Maria posted the recipe for chiles en nogada. So it's in the chat, y'all, if you want to check it out.
okay. So this is I could put it in 5 more minutes, but see how the bread is like soaking up? It's like more wet now. I'm gonna put it in here, or I'm gonna put it in here without the lid on. So, but that's pretty much it. It's like you can eat it the way it is right there. You just scoop it out, put it in a bowl, put it in a bowl, put a little ice cream. You're good to go.
Mm.
Can you put icing like a cinnamon roll? Have you ever done that?
Put
Since
icing
it's a
on it.
bread, yeah, kind of like you know how you have cinnamon rolls
Oh,
with icing, and would that be a good combination?
I mean, you can do it if you want. If you want to do that, you can do it.
Okay.
I've never seen a capriotada with that type of topping on it. I've
Hmm.
normally seen it with crema, ice cream, or with whipped cream. Those are
Okay.
usually the toppings they put on it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I
Um,
don't go ahead.
well, I appreciate it. I don't, any more questions, ladies or guests? So if you go to our website, you can find the other episodes of the kitchen series. And our next one is scheduled for April 22nd. And I have not confirmed the speaker. I have somebody in mind and they volunteered, but I don't want to give the name just because I haven't confirmed it yet. So, um, please stay tuned for your emails, and we will see you soon. Darlene, it was a pleasure. It was so great to hear this recipe and see it and hear all your history lessons. And just, it was great. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us tonight.
Oh, thank you.
And we have a comment from Monica. She says, this makes me want to go look for my mom's recipe. And then Maria says, thank you, Darlene. Love the recipe. Love the apron and the earrings.
Oh yeah, my little Sacred Heart earrings. Aren't those cute?
They're so cute. Yes. Well, thank you guys. I hope you had a great time and enjoyed this our series our episode today, and we will see you soon. Thank you guys.
Bye. Have a good night.
Bye. Thank you,
Good
Darlene.
night.
Bye bye.